Welcome, everyone, to the show called Paranormal Round Table, PRT for short. I am your host, Josh Turner, also known as Wolf, and my co-hosts are Nellie and Anthony today. You want to say hi?
Good evening.
I did that at the same time. So everybody's talking.
Yeah. See which one responded first.
Everybody's talking at once. Okay, so anyways, we discussed the Hernandez Ranch, the return to Hernandez Ranch, part 2, which is just dealing with Robbie and his encounters. But we're going to get into the second part of part 2 on this one now. Before we do that, though, let me give you the email address. It's joshturner@prtpodcast.com. Send me your stories, joshturner@prtpodcast.com. Don't forget that prtpodcast.com is also a site where you can go to purchase merchandise. You can also use the links down below. If you're on YouTube, you can purchase things that way. I know a lot of people listen to us on Spotify, so if you don't mind going and like and subscribe on YouTube and just listen to us on there, that'd be great. I'm just kidding. You do what you got to do. But if you're just listening on Spotify and you're not actually paying anything, then you need to go and buy something from our store, please. And because we need to support the show. But no, seriously, folks, we have a lot of different merchandise, a lot of cool stuff out there. As always, we do a book giveaway every week, so yeah, that's what we got going on. We got Paranormal Round Table, the group on Facebook. We got Paranormal Lounge, which is
mine.
Yeah, yours. Nellie, and Paranormal Encounters, which belongs to Mushu, which is Tony, and then we have a Whisper to a Scream, which is one of our affiliates, Ryan Tremblay, and that is his show's group. So go and join those groups. Even if you don't like Facebook and you hate Facebook and you think it's awful, just join it for us so you can go and be a part of the PRT family on Facebook and join the groups.
And the drawing contest.
And if you send me a friend request, folks, I'm not going to accept it unless you tell me, hey, I'm a listener of PRT. So let's please just do that. And I probably will accept it if as long as you're not too ugly. I'm just kidding. You're going like, what is this ugly guy talking about? So, and you said the art contest. Yes, don't forget the art contest. We keep doing those. And I'm going to be doing Whisper to a Scream every Sunday with Ryan Tremblay. Depending on whether he's gotten his gear together or not, and plus his mother's been having some issues. And so, anyways, we're going to get into it here. What we were talking about last was Robbie and his encounters, and some of them are pretty horrific. Some of the things that were happening, and Anthony, you had mentioned that you thought that it was
demonic oppression.
Demonic, yeah. People like to argue whether these things are flesh and blood or they're spiritual or whatever. I always say they're both. And I don't mean that just like there's two different kinds. I think that the ones that are flesh and blood they are ethereal. And I think that they can manifest as flesh and blood and be as real as we are. But that's why there's a lack of evidence of these things. And I think this is very simple. I mean, it's not, rocket science to figure it out. I mean, to me, that's just the simplest answer, isn't it? I mean, come on. But so what ended up happening, Robbie, after leaving the ranch, we'll just do a quick recap of last week. They left the ranch. He had moved away, whatever. His mother had a heart attack because of these creatures zigzagging around in front of the vehicle or whatever. And so he had an encounter at the house when he went back to the main house to get his mother's medication. He had a friend that went with him the next day and kind of confirmed that he did actually see something. He wasn't hallucinating. And the friend got attacked by something in his house that resembled a werewolf. And so anyways, they ended up moving to an area, or I guess renting. I don't know. They were right outside of an area, off of an area known as Purgatory Road. And they lived out there for a while. They lived in that area anyway. It was close to it. And so they had to, I guess, let's put it this way. They had to drive down that road to get to where they were, staying temporarily. And one day, him and his wife were coming back from San Marcos, and they ended up on that road, and they saw what looked like a 7 to 8 foot tall black entity, creature, whatever you want to call it, standing on the side of the road. Get this, holding a deer's head in his hands, like a deer's head. Not like one with antlers, but just what looked like to them a deer's head. Because at first I thought it was a dog, like a dog down next to it, but it was a deer head. And here's the weird thing: where they saw this creature, it was black, okay, 7, 8 foot tall. They disagreed on the description. The wife got the best look at it because she was on the passenger side where it was at, and Robbie, and then there was another couple that was with them. Actually the cousin. And I did actually talk to him briefly. He was in the passenger side behind Robbie's wife, and his wife was on the other side. And they were coming back from a town right outside of there. And he and Robbie's wife got a very good look at the creature. Well, here's what's odd. Their descriptions differed. He told me it looked like a wolf, like a werewolf. She claims it looked like a kind of like a goat type creature, but like with a wolf's head, but with horns. The wife, who was in the driver's side, claims to have seen horns too, but she had the least best vantage, point. Robbie said it looked straight up like one of these dogmen. He didn't, he didn't get a great look at it, but he said that it was just one of those things you call a dogman, because he knows I call them dogmen, and he's still trying to get used to that term. He's just like, it looked like a werewolf to me, but she was like, it looks like horns. So I go back, I do a little research, and I've always been pretty thorough, and Nellie and Anthony, you know that. We always kind of try to do our homework. And so what ends up happening, I go back and I look into some of the Goatman stories that we got. That's where they happen, right there. And that area is where people see the Goatman. I know that we talked about it on one of our shows. Anthony, I know you weren't the co-host, but you sit in on the shows. And I don't know if you remember, it was might
have been called Night of the Goatman.
It might have been that, or it might have been the Devil's Backbone.
Yeah.
Because I think it was one of Gary Scorpion, or Gary. He used to work for a guy who lived in the Devil's Backbone, and he actually told us a story of seeing a black Goatman out there in that same area. So that brings up the question of, what did they see? It was holding a bloody deer's head, which I think was just to scare them. Now, here's another crazy thing about that.
That sounds a little more like Goatman activity, though, because they're the ones that do that.
They do scary, horrific things, even carrying axes and things like that.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Here's another thing. A neighbor of theirs that once lived in the other town they lived in, claims to have been going down Purgatory Road and had a deer's head go flying across the hood of their SUV. Yeah. Okay. Bounce up onto the windshield and then go off the other side. And when they looked, all they saw was something black going into the bushes that they said looked like Bigfoot. Okay. I don't know what that was. I just have no idea, because they didn't give me a good enough a description of what the neighbors told them. So for them to see that is not a coincidence to me. Okay. One of the things I was talking about to a friend earlier tonight when I was on the phone with him, and we were talking about, and his dad's a good friend of mine, and they're listeners of the show, both of them. And we were talking about how the people will see these things, and it's almost like the entities or whatever, they want to cause fear. Like they know that they, whatever it is you're in your mind, that you're afraid of, they're like manifesting it, but to the 10th power. And they're, and so it's to the nth degree, And so maybe that could be what explains it. They each saw something different, but when you're driving 50 miles, 60 miles, you look over, you see it's there. And it's like, if us three were in the car and we all saw something to the right of the car, obviously I'm going to have the a lesser vantage point. You guys would be on the passenger side. You're going to see more of what it was, right? But Robbie's convinced 100% that it was a dog man, and his wife was like, no, it was a goat man or a dog man with horns. Guy behind her says it looked like a wolf, but it looked like it might have had horns. You know, I mean, what was that? I mean, what does that have to do? I mean, is it a coincidence, or does it have something to do with it? Or, I mean, you know, and then you got these people saying that something came flying out at their vehicle. And of course, Anthony, you know, we've heard of people having rocks thrown at them, having things thrown at them near bridges. You know, of course, Nellie, we were at Goatman's Bridge, and the stories there are that it throws things at people and carries them off into the woods and yada, yada, yada. So there's all these horrific things that Goatman is known to do. But is that what this was?
I think this thing it's demonic, but it's like an energy parasite, because if you notice that they've been seeing these terrifying, awful things that could definitely kill you, but they haven't been, killing them because they're alive to tell the tale. In the same way that a parasite, it's not in a parasite's best interest to kill its host, because then the parasite dies. Well, it's like they're causing fear within these people because they feed off of it. It's like a psychological warfare, you know, they're draining these people's energy.
Well, how do you explain, though, like the multiple Goatman sightings in that area? Like right there. Like Linda Godfrey said on our show, She says you'll have Bigfoot in one area, Dogman in another, and then the Goatman kind of shows up as a third party.
I don't know. I mean, I think that if there are supernatural or paranormal aspects to these different cryptids, that certain areas just have energies that are more conducive to certain types of entities. Like, okay, in the same way that, like, if you want to listen to a certain radio station, right, you have to tune in to that specific frequency, and that's the only way you're going to hear that station.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing with like, at least in my opinion, it's the same thing with land, except instead of radio frequencies, you're dealing with energies, and certain energies are more conducive to, maybe like these demonic dogman looking entities, and other areas, the energy there is more conducive to these Bigfoot looking entities, you know, something along those lines. The area we're talking about, the energy there is ripe for Goatman entities, whatever those things are.
And Nellie, we have gotten Goatman stories, and they've just scared the heck out of you. But what is it about the Goatman that's so more terrifying to you than it is than the Dogman?
It seems like that it's more evil, definitely more evil, but it's smarter, and it's
calculating,
more calculating. It's got like the ability to talk in your family's voices.
Oh yes,
it's and it has actually been reported that it has killed people, killed small children.
Dogman.
Yeah, but I mean, the small children, the ones that I've heard, it's just so, the way it walked out of the forest holding that little boy to show them that, look what I can do and look what I've done, kind of thing, you know, like.
You're talking about a story we heard on Supernatural Channel or something?
I think it was Darkness Prevails or something like that.
One of those really large channels that we're nowhere near.
And it's just like.
As big as. They're
so evil. I mean, it was obviously eating the child. That's just so bad. It's just they have like I think they have a different level of power that the Dogman doesn't possess, and that they're way more calculating. And whereas Dogman, they'll chase you, and if they get a hold of you, they're going to hurt you and stuff. But it's the magic. In a bad way.
These werewolf encounters these people are having
I think they're
pretty much on the level of as evil as you can get.
Well, yeah, they're like mine and my sisters. I mean, they're like that. They come in the house and then they leave, and there's no hide or hair of them left, no trace. But
That seems to be the same case with Goatman, though. I don't feel the same way you do.
Well, I mean, the Goatman, like they torment people with their loved ones that have passed on.
Yeah, I get
stuff
that,
like that.
but I feel. I mean, that's we're all just talking. We're telling our opinions, and
that's true. I think like Goatman can really get in your head. I don't know.
I think Dogman does too.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I really do, because like I haven't seen a Goatman or a Bigfoot, but I've seen a Dogman, and it was just a very horrific.
Oh no, I'm not trying to downplay that.
No. I know you're not. But no, I respectfully disagree with like the degree of. I think I would. I'm not. I just don't feel afraid of the Goatman. I just don't.
Really?
I think I could pick him up and body slam him and throw him over. I would throw him like into the ocean.
I mean, like
sure you would.
I would.
Sure.
I just would. I would just take him and just do the people's elbow on him, and I would just do the scorpion deadlock.
I would do a Stone Cold Stunner on him.
Stone Cold Stunner?
Because Stone Cold said so, and that's the bottom line.
After I drink a beer, I'd do it. I'd smash it on it. I'd be like, let me tell you something, Goatman. You ain't nothing. And I would just smash it. Oh, yeah.
Or you could be like
Macho Man Randy
You could be like Uncle Rico who could throw it over the mountain.
I throw it over the moon like your dreams of Uncle Rico. I'm not afraid of it. I'm not. And people have told me though some horrific stories about Goatman. Now let's say this: if you're driving down Purgatory Road and I see something holding a deer head, I don't care if it's just a hunter coming out of the woods. He's holding a deer head. Okay, dude, what the heck is wrong with this guy? I'm gonna hit the gas. Okay, you could be goat, dog, big man, foot man. I don't care what you are. Whatever. We're going. We're out of there, dude. We're gone, man.
You know what?
I think go ahead.
No, please.
Go ahead, Nelly.
Oh, for me, like the Goatman has like this
aura.
I know, like
charisma.
No, yes,
cologne.
It just seems a little bit more insidious, I think, because of the association with Baphomet. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I get the feeling like
That's
can
what
take
I think
you.
Nelly's getting into.
I think it can take you to another dimension. I think it can snatch you up and take you, because I mean they go in and out, and they.
Well, but I mean eating, bad.
They can take you to
oysters can take you to another dimension
and also,
too. I mean,
and also because like the encounters with Goatman are, at least from the ones that I've been exposed to, they're almost always of a evil demonic nature. Whereas encounters with Dogman, a lot of them are like that, but some of them aren't. Some of them really are just like straight up physical cryptid, and then others are like more of a supernatural nature.
So we've fallen into a Goatman versus Dogman debate. So we're gonna have to get Ryan and Jason McFadden and all the guys, Curtis Turner, Roger Carter. They're all gonna have to draw the Goatman and Dogman fighting it out.
No, just playing cards
for supremacy. Anyways, we got here. Wife, this was crazy. Okay, I got it written down. I'm over here reading it, like my cliff notes here, which look like somebody's just chicken scratched horribly. So here, let me get it a little further into it. So in that place where they were living, okay, they had two really terrifying incidents that happened. One in particular, him and his stepson were out mending a fence. And out of the clearing comes these two creatures. Okay. And one of them was walking on two legs, just walking upright like a man. The other one was kind of like bouncing, the way they described, on all fours. And they had what looked like two coyotes with them running around. There were two little coyotes. And they were like, "Whoa, those are really odd looking. Oh, that one's standing up on two legs." Okay. And Robbie's like, "Okay, it's time to go." He immediately knew what that was. Now, like I said, in the area where they were staying at too, I don't get a lot of Dogman reports. It's mostly Bigfoot, But that particular incident, these two creatures came right out of the woods, and he said they looked just like timber wolves. They were gray and a little bit of brown. They weren't the black, They weren't the reddish brown, and they were far enough away that he could get a good look at them, And so he grabbed his rifle off the ATV and he looked through the scope, and he saw what they were. And now here's what's crazy. The one that was upright got down immediately when he looked at it through the scope. He's like, "There's no way this thing was so far away. There's no way that this thing could have possibly," this is what he told me. He's like, "There is no way that thing could have seen me from that far away. Like to know that he was pointing, if it was an animal that was just standing up on its hind legs, he's like, there's no way. And it got down on all fours. And then with the two large creatures that were obviously not natural, they took off running into the woods, and the coyotes kind of looked around, kind of confused, and then ran behind them. To me, those two creatures, okay, those dogmen is what they are, is what they were. They knew that they were had a gun pointed at them, even from that far away. He said it was probably, 100, 150 yards. They knew. Okay, how is that possible? If this is a flesh and blood normal animal creature like a lot of these cretins believe, how the heck is that possible? You tell me how that's possible. And I'm telling you, folks, I get story after story. I get all these different reports, and most of them have a weird supernatural element to them. And a few people sitting across from me can attest to this. Am I lying? I mean, this is what we get. Okay. And so you got these people who are convinced that this thing's just a flesh and blood creature, and we're going to find it someday, and we're going to find all kinds of, I was talking to Ken Gerhardt about that one day, and we were just laughing because where is the fossil record for these things? That's a simple question, folks. But we have tons and tons of witnesses that have seen them. And, and it's like, we were talking about it, and Ken said, dude, I'll believe that they are flesh and blood when I start to see some sort of something, until then, you're just assuming that that's what this is. I mean, you can't tell me that's not some sort of sixth sense or some sort of extrasensory perception. You point a gun at them, and they know that you're pointing a gun at them from that far away, and they get down, and then they run into the woods. Where the two coyotes that they were with them were kind of like, "Hey, what's going on?" And then they're running, so let's go with them. Which is another weird thing that they're seen with coyotes.
And dogs. Two little Chihuahua dogs or something.
Very weird, yeah. And wolves. I've heard of them being around bigger, like bigger dog, like they look like bigger wolves, and then it turns out they're not. They're something different,
Mm-hmm.
I want to say something else. I mean, if they had incredible eyesight, okay, to physically see you, how does that creature know that that's a gun? Like to know that, hey, he's pointing a rifle, let's bail into the woods. You know what I mean? Like there's no way you can just tell me that is.
I mean, it may not even be necessarily that they know there's a gun pointed at them. It could just be that they feel someone's intentions to do harm, and it just kicks off an alarm in their head.
Or they felt the presence, yeah.
Yeah.
Here's another thing that happened there. The daughter wakes up in the middle of the night, 3 in the morning. It was literally around 3 in the morning, and she's hearing tapping on the glass. So she hears that, and she wakes up, and she hears it like a couple times. At this point she's older. She's an older kid, not real old, but like second, third grade, something like that. She goes over to the window because it just continues. And she said that she told Robbie she couldn't understand why she did it, because she knew that there was something on the other side that wasn't, but she felt like she was compelled to do it. Like she said, something made me do it, Daddy. I couldn't. So she goes over there to the window, opens the window, and there is this monster-looking werewolf creature, head and shoulders, just standing there looking at her. And it's tapping on the glass and smirking while it's doing it. Okay. And then it growls, and she falls backwards over the bed and flips and knocks a bunch of stuff off the dresser trying to keep her balance. This is what I was told. And it's like this thing was just messing
tormenting
with
her.
Yeah. Now here's the rub. Okay. There's no tree out there, and this is on the second floor.
Like some Salem's Lot stuff.
Okay, yeah. So that was a horrific incident. So then the mom, here's what she does. Angela, she freaks out. So she goes, she gets the priest to come out. The priest comes out. He's outside blessing the property, whatever. They already had a friend that came and did the sage and the salt and all that. And I guess it didn't work. or whatever. It didn't, But the priest comes back inside and he said, man, I saw the largest wolf I've ever seen in my life out on the edge of your property. And they were like, yeah, that's what we're, and he goes, well, what do you want me to do about a wolf? I can't, And he's like, did it stand up on two legs? And he goes, no. And then he's like, why is it supposed to? And he goes, well, it will, And the priest is like, so what are we dealing with here? And she's like,
tell us.
You tell us. You're the expert, And he tells them, I don't know what's going on here. Do you want to tell me more about? So when they started telling, look, we're having trouble with something that's like a werewolf. These are werewolves. We don't know what they are, but we're going to call them that. So then he says, let's pray. Let's do all this, whatever. So, and then he says, I'm going to come back tomorrow with another member of the clergy. And so he sent orders for another person that was, a little higher up. They come out the next day. And then they said, you know what? You have something here that this guy claims. He's like, I've only heard of this one other time. And I'm going to have to ask somebody from the main church. And I don't know what the main church is, but they had to get somebody that was stronger. And so while they were waiting to hear back from the clergy, whatever, that they go to sleep. His wife is walking. They're walking up in the bed. Okay, Robbie had gone to work. He was working late, and the wife is woken up out of bed by this hulking creature standing over her. Here's what's weird about it, though. She said that it looked like it had long hair. Like it had like we were talking about the mane. Yeah. And the kids had described something like that. It had like a person would have long hair, like the hair was longer and almost horse-like at the top of the head.
Fabio.
Gross.
And the rest of the body was like a man with like a weird looking like creases all over it, with hair like a man that would just be really hairy, not fur, but like a man with a lot of hair. And then the head was shaggy like a wolf, but then at the top it was almost like there was like a long-haired person.
Maybe that's a skinwalker or something.
That's what I'm wondering.
Or a hippie dogman.
It's a scary walker. I know that, but she's like, this thing was standing over my bed. Now she's like, have you ever heard of anything like that? And I said, yeah, I have. The Serbian werewolf. Yeah. We've heard of this multiple times. This isn't like an unusual thing. I hear these stories. Folks, I got stories like this for days. It's weird. So this entity is there standing over her and it grabs like her feet. She closes her eyes and all she can do is start reciting the Lord's Prayer, and she just starts praying, and she's praying, and that's all she can think of is just to get this thing off of her and then just, please God, get it off of me, That's the way she said it, and she's like, she opens her eyes and it's gone. But, yeah, and she said she had bruises on her feet, from where it grabbed her. It left a physical imprint. Now, here's the other thing. Okay. I said there were two incidents. There's actually, that was three. Okay. I guess if you count the is it goat man? Is it dog man? Whatever. When they moved from that place to another area, to another house, and, it doesn't change. Like the situation does not change. It doesn't get any. It just continues on like nothing happened. Like they didn't move. They moved to another area. This area was closer to town. Their little kids were playing outside. They had two dogs. One of them was just hanging out by the fence line. Or what do you call it? The property line. And this creature comes out of the woods on all fours, a very large wolf-like creature. What they said, they had like a big ridge on its back, and then grabs this medium-sized dog, which I think it was a red heeler or a blue heeler. I think it was a red heeler. Grabbed the dog in its mouth, took one big bite like a crunch. They heard the snap, and then it just went back into the woods like boop, and it was gone. And they never saw the dog again. And this happened in front of like 4 kids, including 2 of the neighbor children. So like their 4, so altogether about 6 children that witnessed this happen. And it was just a traumatic thing. And they were just like, Then there was an argument about whether or not it was a giant hog because of the ridge on his back, or was wolf-like. Most of the kids were in agreement that it was wolf-like. The oldest kid was like 13, and he's like, that's what it was. It was a freaking wolf. It looked like a wolf. And it just grabbed the dog and killed it. Now, according to Noah, out on the main property, he's gone through about half a dozen dogs. These things kill their dogs regularly. He said he's seen them standing on two legs and take a dog and just rip it in half. He claims that he's seen them pick them up and just bite them with their hand. They pick them up with their arms and bite their spine. He's gone through different types of dogs. Now, apparently now he's got Canes Corsos out there. And Anthony, we were talking to Tully about that the other night. Those are some vicious dogs. Tell the folks what a Canes Corso is, what it basically is.
Isn't that like a mastiff bred with a pit bull?
Like a pit bull. It's got the demeanor of a pit bull with the strength and power of a mastiff. So basically, like it's like from the Canaras or whatever. But they are an extremely, extremely aggressive and they kill people. I mean, I'm pretty convinced because Nellie, you helped me describe that I was attacked by a Caucasian Shepherd. Mm-hmm. And I beat it with a flashlight and got away from it. But Nellie was like,
has a scar,
and I have scars on my arm and hand from when it attacked me. Mm-hmm. Nellie was like, "You were attacked by a Caucasian Shepherd." I was like, "What is that?" She starts telling me about it. I knew what it was, but I was like, "What is what makes you believe that?" And she goes, "Well, show me a picture of what you." So I showed her, and she's like, "That's what that is." And I was like, "Okay, I've heard of that. I've seen these before. Yeah, that's what it was." But it's basically a Russian
dog that they use in the prisons whenever they riot. Mm-hmm. They just turn like 10 of them loose, and then they just count the bodies
afterwards. Yeah, mm-hmm. I've heard that. Yeah. And so you told me about that. Dogs. Yeah, and I knew a lot of dangerous animals, and I had heard of that, but I had never I didn't put two and two together. Like I had seen one and didn't know what that was, but I'd heard the name and didn't know what they looked like.
Well, way my sister had one. Mouse is gone now. Yeah, and the way you described it. That's what he looked like, and he was white too. Mm-hmm. He's all white.
Yeah, so I know what being attacked by a large dog. I used to handle dogs, so I know, and I'm not afraid of dogs at all. Nellie and Anthony can tell you.
Yeah, he's not.
Dogs do not scare me. If a dog gets, I'll throw it over a fence. I mean, believe me, I'm not. I'm not. They do not intimidate me. Okay, I'm not intimidated by animals too much. But
Anthony, are you afraid of dogs?
Big ones, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I'm not
afraid
of dogs by default, but if a large dog is aggressive, I'm not going to say, "Oh, I'm not afraid of it,"
because we have to respect.
I guess I'm saying a fear of dogs.
Capable of defending myself. Oh no, I don't have any fear of dogs.
No, I'm not. There's no fear. I mean, but so Noah's basically got these really mean, aggressive animals, and he's got several of them, and they roam around on his property. So they pretty much kill anything that comes within, and he's always out there shooting at whatever moves. So, and I'm being serious, folks. It's just, there are people talking about wanting to go out there and let's go look around. Well, you're just going to get killed. You're probably going to get killed by them, not the dogman. So, I'm just going to be honest with you. So they're not really, he's not a very welcoming individual. So, that's all that went on over there. There was all this stuff that happened, and the dog was killed. And so while he's living at that property, okay, they pretty much figure out that let's be honest, they've moved around. Okay, it's happening wherever they go. It's not it's not the properties. It's it's pretty much them. But the thing is, when he lived in that one area in the west, it was southwest of San Antonio. When he lived over there, nothing happened. So I mean, what is that? I mean, like, why did it not? Why was there nothing happening over there? So the area that he was moving around in, though, was still close enough to the main center of the activity, which is the ranch.
Well, maybe that's what it is.
That's what I'm thinking.
They're stuck in that certain amount of area, and whenever they moved to the ranch, they just enjoyed tormenting this family so much that no matter how far they go out, as far as they can reach, that's as far as they'll follow them.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, and you think that now both of y'all follow me here. You would think that That's the end of it, right? That we figured it out, right? We've solved it, right? I mean, it's pretty much what it is.
We mystery machined it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, let me throw you the curveball here. Okay. Now I'm going to throw you a really hard and fast Roger Clemens curveball here. Okay. This is what's crazy. He was working in south of San Antonio. Okay. I'm talking like outside of San Antonio, like we're on the edge of town of South San Antonio. And they were building a complex out there, So he was working long hours, and they were pushing to try to get it done. Just like, when they used to work with us, Anthony, you know how hard they work. He was working really hard, trying to get it done. And he stayed late one night with his helper. His name's Jorge. I mean, I doubt he's going to care if I say that. But anyway, Jorge was working with him. And they were the last ones there. And by rule, okay, and everybody knows them, Robbie, Jerry, Joe, they do not work out after dark for obvious reasons. They've had some incidents. So he says, I'm not going to stay overnight. I'm not going to work, the overnight shift or whatever. I don't do it. But he said about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it was, he was getting tired. And he said, man, I'll just put in another hour. Next thing you know, he goes, look at the clock and it's almost 6. And then he goes, dude, I'm getting really tired. The days were getting longer. It was later in the spring. He said, I'm going to take a nap. And he says, he goes, I just kept pushing myself another hour, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, So he falls asleep and he wakes up and it's dark and all the workers are gone and it's just him in the parking lot. But he sees his buddy moving around inside one of the apartments or whatever. And he's like, oh, he's still working. So he gets up to go in there to talk to him, but he looks around and he doesn't see his vehicle. And Jorge had a blue Ford. He's like, where is his Ford at? So he's like, I'm the only vehicle in the parking lot. Then he looks at his cell phone and Jorge says, went to go grab some food. I'll be back. So then he's standing there in front of the apartment and he looks to his right and he says, man, I swear, dude, he goes, it was like that moment in the movie where you look, there it is, right there in the darkness into the apartment. He could see there was a little bit of light from one of the other rooms and he looks over the rail through the back door, of the patio. And he sees standing on the other side of the island of the kitchen, this thing is 2 hands. It said he looked almost like 2 big tarantulas. And he said that he saw the fingers kind of go up and then go back down. And he said that he saw like the mouth move. You could see the teeth. And he says, and I saw 2 red eyes. And it was looking right at me. And he goes, and I'm by myself. And he goes, so I slowly turned around and I started to walk back to my truck. And he's like, he goes, dude, I was so scared. He goes, then as I'm almost to my truck, and Nell, you know the story, at the tree line.
There's another one.
Yeah, there was another one. And he said it just was sitting there looking at him. And he said it stood up. And he said this one was kind of tall and thin. They didn't all look the same, And he said that it just started to like move its arm. It stuck its arm out and was just kind of like walking along with its arm out, kind of touching the tree branches, going along the tree branches, like just sauntering around, And he said that it turned and looked right at him like, what are you going to do now? So he gets in his truck and he's like, I'm moving very slow because, he was told by Abel, if you ever get cornered by them, to move very slowly, just get in your vehicle and back away, whatever you got to do, or get in your vehicle and drive away. So that's what he's doing. He gets in his vehicle. Okay. He says that it was very dark, but he could still see. He knew there was something in front of the vehicle. He could see something moving around. He turns the light on, and there's one squatted down right in front of his vehicle with its front arms or, paws or whatever. He's like those weird looking hands they got, and it's down there and it's got it on the concrete looking up at him. And he said it's just smirking at him. And then it kind of moves forward kind of in a weird motion. He says they move almost like gorillas, And he said it kind of lunges forward at him and then slaps the pavement again and looks at him like challenging him. At this point, he sees the other one kind of leap over, like, he's like just like a wolf, like it leaped over leapt over the back patio railing. Yeah, he said. Then it stood up. He's like, I look over, and he says, then I hear this pop, and I look over to my right, and there's another one, and it's the one that was by the tree line. He said that, so they're all around his vehicle. And he said that he was just like, he put it in reverse and was like, I'm just going to drive out and hopefully nothing happens. And he said that he was envisioning, he kept having a vision going into his brain of them ripping him apart and eating his organs, like just killing him, viciously. And he said it was like they were putting that into my head, that this is what we're about to do to you.
And nap was the worst decision he ever made.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. And then, right then, he gets a text from Jorge. It says, at Whataburger, do you want me to bring you something?
Oh, man.
And he's like,
well, since you put it that way, Jorge,
he's like, and then he's like, you know what? I'll take a triple cheese with let's see, with Dr. Pepper vanilla shake.
He rolls out the window to all the dogmen. Y'all hungry? What do y'all want?
Yeah, and that last part, folks, I made that up. Jorge did not do that. I'm joking about that. That was complete. It wasn't. It was P. Terry's. No, that's in Austin. We don't have those in San Antonio. They don't have those in San Antonio. But no, he did. He got a message from Jorge saying, "Are you hungry?" And he didn't say he was at Whataburger, but he asked him if he wanted something to eat, and he was like, he's like, I'm sitting there looking like, should I answer this and tell him, please come back, I'm about to be killed? Or should I say, I'm leaving, don't come back? Because you have to make a decision at that point.
Call him.
Are you going to tell him, hey, something's going on here? This is a guy that works with him. He doesn't know all this craziness, about him and his family. Do you tell Jorge, I'm leaving, don't come back? Or do you drive out of there and then try to tell Jorge, So what he did, he backed up. This is what I think I would have done. He backed up and he drove out, and the three creatures began to just kind of walking slowly behind his truck as he gained distance on them. Then they started to run toward him. He pulls out, and he said it was off of a road where there were trees on both sides, and he said that he could see them. One of them ran across. He could see them in his back of his mirror. One of them ran across the road and was on the right side, and the other two were on the left, and they were running through the trees. He could see them, and he thought at any minute they're just gonna, run out and jump on me, jump in my truck. And then he got to a light, and he just ran it. And he said at that point it was like a little stop or whatever, and they got up to the edge, and he saw one of them go right up to the lamppost and kind of swing himself around, and then they just kind of went back, and that was it. So he got down the street, went to a Quick Mart or whatever store, pulled in. He said, I went to a convenience store and I called Jorge and said, do not go back to the job site. I have left. And Jorge's like, well, I have to. I left my tools in there. So he's like, look, dude, just don't go back, And he said, I just, there's something there. There's something weird that went on there or whatever. So the next day, I guess Jorge ignored him and actually did go back and get his tools. Next day, he said, man, I went in there to get my tools and I heard something growling. And he said, and I think it was inside the building. And he said it was from one of the back bedrooms, and I heard this growling noise, and I thought, dang, there's a large dog that must have gotten, or a coyote or something had gotten in there. He said, so I got scared, man. He goes, I grabbed my tools, and I just walked out, And that was it. He didn't, nothing attacked him. But he said when he was pulling out, he said he had this weird feeling like he was terrified. And then later, one of the workers claimed that when they were driving up to that property, they saw like 3 sets of eyes, like in the tree line. And it looked like almost like they were red, like reflective, red or whatever. And so, I mean, what do you think of that?
Terrifying.
Not to me, because it didn't happen to me. But but I mean, I'm sorry, folks. I'm just trying to bring some levity to the situation. The point is I mean, it's a terrifying incident. I mean, is that supernatural too, or is that or is that just good old fashioned?
I have no idea. I mean, like I said, I'm convinced at this point that maybe they crossed someone or something happened with someone who knew witchcraft or black magic and just put some kind of awful hex on their family or curse that just keeps manifesting itself over and over and over.
Well, here's what I told Robbie. I gave him some advice, and in all seriousness, I said, Robbie, you and your family and Shane's family and all those people that were associated with that land are all cursed and are going to die. I can't help you. There's nothing I can do. Run for your life. And then I just hung up. and you know, then he gave me the thumbs up emoji, and that was the end of our conversation.
If you ever need help, you know who to call. Someone else.
Someone not me. And so he asked me, he's like, you know, Wolf, you've covered hundreds of these, you know, and you're the world's foremost leading expert on everything. No, he didn't say that. I'm joking. Now he asked me, he said, Wolf, what do you think this is? What do you think what's things going on here? And I told him, I said, I hate to tell you this, but I can't tell you. I can't tell you. I mean, I've been out to the ranch in the daytime. It's very peaceful, you know, but driving by there at night, it makes me want to go number 2 in my pants.
You've driven there at night?
I shouldn't have told you that, I guess. Yes, I've driven by there at night, and actually you were with me and I didn't tell you.
Oh, nice.
He's going to pay for that later.
Nellie's getting the whooping stick ready.
Yeah.
Honey, when we go out there on those nice drives, you know, Dogman's out there.
I saw the hogs.
Yeah, there's lots of hogs. I mean, you know, Goatman, Dogman, Bigfoot, hogs, you know what I'm saying?
Every time I see a deer, I'm always scared it's going to be a goat man or a skinwalker or something.
There's 3 kind of animals out there: hogs, deer, and Dogman. What was the last one? Hogs. You know, the point is that, you know, it's a horrific thing that's happened to these people, and it's a horrific thing that's either attached to the land that, and these things have managed to connect. If you, I don't even call it connect, attach themselves to the individuals who are involved. I mean, you know, because I mean, it's a crazy thing. I mean, you got the next generation being accosted, I guess you could say, or assaulted by these creatures. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to make of it. I mean, I know that, you know, he says that there's dreams. He has these dreams where he's like, almost like it's like real, but, you know, you don't know. And I'm not going to get into all those today, but, you know, I mean, it's just a horrific thing that's going on, and it just continues. And, you know, there's more. I mean, we're going to get into the other, you know, we're going person to person encounters, you know, what's going on with each person. I think that what happened to Robbie at that job site had to be one of the most unnerving, terrifying things that I've ever, you know, I mean,
Now, see, if those things were smart, they would have taken Jorge's tools.
Yeah.
Milwaukee ain't cheap.
So I can tell you this, I mean, getting into what you said about there being a curse put on them. Now, here's what I've been told. They went to a healer, a cleanser, a curandera in San Antonio, or a bruja, depending how you want to look at it. And they were told that that land belonged to these creatures, and that they were there, and that they come in and out of our world, and they are flesh and blood, but they're also spiritual, which I could have told you that. That'll be $59.95. But no, they actually talked to these people, and they told them that they're going to follow them until they die, and they're going to follow their descendants, and it's going to keep happening until it's, you know, until the end.
Did they tell them why?
Not necessarily, just that they were attached to that area, and that they had been wronged in some way, or they felt wronged, but that they're also evil. You know, they're an evil race of beings. And here's the thing. To me, if you believe like the Book of Enoch, and you believe like the Nephilim, okay, hear me out. Let's look at it from that angle. Folks, just because you have a certain belief doesn't mean you can't look at someone else's belief and go, you know, I've even read some of, what's his name, Dianetic, L. Ron Hubbard, and thought, that's interesting, and then threw it in the garbage. But the point is that you read it, you know, I'll read the other side's, you know, stuff. It don't mean I'm going to agree to it, but I can still look at it from their angle for a minute and go, wow, that's warped. But here's what's crazy, okay? You go into this this whole thing that's going on with these creatures or whatever, if you look at it from a biblical, like the book of Enoch, okay, the Nephilim, okay, what if that's what they are? They're the descendants of some sort of Nephilim. They are the manifestation of the physical with the spiritual. Okay, follow me here down the rabbit hole. Okay, and then they take claim to that land just like fairies do, the fairy mound, which is a very real thing in Britain. You don't want to disturb a fairy mound. In Ireland, you know, you build a house, you can't be near a fairy mound. What if that's what that is? They mess with the burrow of these things, right?
They moved onto their property.
And then they moved onto the property and said, we're just going to start raising cattle and doing whatever. And then the vaqueros come and start shooting at these things. And then there's a war that takes place. It doesn't end, and it just keeps going. To me, at this point, folks, I'm going to give you my absolute honest opinion. I think it's a blood feud. And I think it's never going to end until one side is completely gone. And I think that these things are dangerous. I think that they're harmful. I think that they are doing what they can to try to destroy and kill with these people. And I think that they're succeeding in some areas, you know, by driving them out, driving them off, you know. And I don't think that there is some sort of like conclusion to this that's going to be, you know, like
it's a scary, sad thought.
Yeah, and if you look at it from the angle of what I'm looking at it from, like, you know, like that could be what it is. That's just like one possible conclusion. I had somebody send me a thing about the Hernandez Ranch recently. Now listen to this theory. He said that these things are extraterrestrial in nature, that they came a long time ago from another star system, and that they actually they took over certain areas, and that they dig they burrow into the ground, they dig these mounds, and when you mess with them, they become very territorial. Okay.
I said that. Remember, I told you. I think they're underground.
But they have, yeah, and that they have a very unique and special ability. They can do things to us. It seems like magic, but it's really just an advanced science, and they can do things that we can't possibly comprehend or understand or do. Yeah. So, you know, I'm just looking at it from all angles, folks. I'm not saying that that's my belief. I'm just saying that there's a lot of different ways to look at this. This could be just a purely demonic manifestation of mimicry going on. But it could also be that these creatures have an ability that we just cannot possibly fathom. But any way you look at it, that their actions show us that they are of a demonic nature or some sort of evil nature. When you're using the word demonic in the sense that it's evil, definitely a harmful, not a good thing. So, any other theories before we close this out?
Outside of it being either a skinwalker or a curse, I don't have anything else.
And I believe we talked about that in episode 100, in our 100th episode, about them having been told that they were, you know, what I believe Noah had said. I think it was him. If you go back and listen, I think it was him that had said that they had talked to someone, and that they were like a type of people. Like I think Abel had told him that they were like a tribe of people, but they had practiced black magic for a long, long time, and that they had interbred and created like this whole race of like shapeshifters that had gotten stuck like that.
Interbred with demons?
No, that these people, okay, were practicing black magic or sorcery, and that's what they were told. But then Robbie told me a different story. You know, the person that he had gone to, which I think is actually two different people, and that they were like this race of beings or people, just like we are. We're people, you know, but they were ancient people, and that they had the ability to shapeshift, and that they were not supposed to interbreed, but they interbred. They're supposed to interbreed with people, like regular humans, but they interbred with each other, and they created these I guess offshoot. Yeah, that became another race. Each one becoming more and more like the shape that they shift into. And ultimately, they just ended up that way, to the point where they were more animalistic than they were human. But they have a very spiritual aspect to them, which lends credence to the idea of the Nephilim, of them being some type of Nephilim type creature, or something. And I believe that it was, I think it was Noah that had said that. I don't know. I have to go back and look at my notes from the last episode. But anyways, that's what I was told by Robbie, was that he had talked to somebody and that they had told him, that that's what it was, that these creatures were angry, basically. Like I said, I think it's just going to keep going. It's a blood feud. It's not going to end. And that's how it goes. I mean, and who do you call? The Ghostbusters? You call the priest? You call the army?
All out to the Lord.
It's all you can do. The Lord is your, one of my favorite passages is the Psalm. I always forget the actual
23.
Is it Psalm? Yeah, when the blessed is the Lord my rock that prepares my hands for war, my fingers for battle.
No, that's not 23.
No, Psalm 23 that's a shepherd psalm, isn't it? Yeah. But I don't remember which is it Proverbs or is it Psalms?
I don't remember.
Proverbs. It was your mom, Anthony, gave me that but that's all you can do is call out to God for protection, for help. I mean, that's all you can do. And there's going to be people that are going to hear this and they're going to poo-poo it and go, I don't believe that. I believe they're, flesh and blood. I'm going to go kill them. I'm going to kill them with fire. I'm going to shoot them. And you go on ahead. You believe what you want to believe. But, to these people, that's their truths. That's what they deal with, So that's all the time we have for tonight, folks. We've gone over it. And I hope you enjoyed, entertained by this, stories of what's going on over there. And there's more to come. It's just that, let me tell you something about this. It's something that I had talked to somebody about that's another podcast or former podcaster. I guess I don't know if he's still podcasting, but he told me once that you have to really get, to talk about this subject. It's like it's draining. You have to get yourself psyched up to talk about it because there is a spirit that is attached to this, whole subject. And it's evil. And it's a dark thing. And these things are, I cringe whenever I hear somebody say, oh, I love to hear about positive dogman encounters. Well, first of all, those are few and far between. And I don't really believe much. I don't put much stock into those. I mean, I think it's just wishful thinking on some people's part. And they want to believe that that's the case.
Yeah, you don't take the form of an alpha predator to be nice.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's not usually going to be a positive thing. And it always makes me cringe when people talk about how they ate nuts and berries with them and they were telepathically communicating and talking about,
Whatever. They need to go on Joe Rogan's show to talk about DMT if that's what their story is.
Yeah, let's get in touch with Joe. He lives here in Austin now, so we'll see what's up and see if he wants to interview those people. He'll probably be like, no, why would I want to do that? But it's these people that do this. We were singing Kumbaya and watching Friends. Okay, yeah, sure you were.
Shaking tambourines.
Yeah, drinking margaritas. But anyways, folks, that's all the time we have for tonight. Thanks for tuning in to PRT, Paranormal Round Table. I'm Josh Turner, your host, also known as Wolf, and my wife Nellie and my nephew Anthony. And we hope you have a good night and a good weekend. Don't do anything I wouldn't do that gives you a lot of leeway. And so from everybody here, good night.